Hey everybody, it's Salt from Pokemon Go Radio, the place for everything Pokemon Go. You probably know us from our regular podcast that comes out every single Monday, but you can also catch those episodes here on YouTube every Monday at 3 Central. And we're doing another YouTube video this week. We would really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe and leave your comments below and let us know how you like this kind of content because we're really excited to do this thing. Well, we are a good chunk of the way through the Halloween event, and I got to tell you, so far I am a big fan of this event. And capping off this event, the culmination, the summit, whatever you want to call it, of this event, I think, is the introduction of 2 new Pokemon. Some fan favorite Pokemon, too, if we're being honest. That's right. Phantump and Pumpkaboo are now in this game. And, of course, obviously, they're follow-on evolutions. These Gen 6 staples are now in the game and are on spooky theme for you to go out and catch. And we wanted to bring you guys in and actually talk through one of our segments that we like to do on the podcast called Pick of the Week. And that pun is intentional because is this the pick of the week, i.e. W-E-E-K, the Pokemon you should be picking this week, or is it a pick of the week, W-E-A-K, as in a Pokemon that is a little underwhelming? We're going to go through, we're going to talk about the Pokemon's history, their movesets, the type, any PvE relevance like raids and gym battles, and then we'll also talk PvP analysis. And at the end of the video, we'll give them an analysis if they're the pick of the week or the pick of the week. So stay tuned and we'll break it down. So when comparing Phantump and Pumpkaboo, there are a lot of similarities, obviously. These are the first ghost grass hybrids that have been introduced into the Pokemon game. So Gen 6, first typing of it, and they're really interesting. I guess by Pokedex number, Phantump actually comes first. So that is the official first grass ghost Pokemon. But the typings are really interesting, and these 2 Pokemon have always had a special place in my heart, and I know a lot of hearts out there as well, because they're just so weird and interesting. So starting off with Phantump, it is the Stump Pokemon first introduced in Gen 6, and like we said, it is a grass ghost Pokemon, a really unique type that we'll break down here in a little bit. I think every time we break down a Pokemon, we like to give you a weird fact about Phantump, and the weird fact about Phantump is that the leaves on its head can be used, brewed in a tea, to have healing properties, which is very strange to me. But we also have a bonus creepy ghost Pokemon fact, because if any of you out there know Pokemon lore, you can't talk about a ghost Pokemon without there being something really creepy, and Phantump is no exception. It turns out Phantump is a spirit that possesses a tree or a stump, and those are the spirits of children who got lost in the forest and died. Wait, what? Then we also have Pumpkaboo. That is right. Pumpkaboo, no surprise here, is the, get ready for it, pumpkin Pokemon. I know, so you should have seen that one coming. Grass Ghost, also introduced in Gen 6. The interesting thing about Pumpkaboo, though, is it comes in 4 different sizes. You've got small, average, large, and then super size. So there are actually 4 different sprites that you will see, and for the first time ever in Pokemon Go, those sprite sizes will also be reflected in the overworld. So if you see a little bitty Pumpkaboo, it's a little bitty Pumpkaboo. If you see a big Pumpkaboo, it's a big Pumpkaboo, which I just think is really neat and kind of unique to this Pokemon. So I'm really excited about that specific aspect of it. Like we said, also appeared in Gen 6, and we have to give you a fact about that, which the regular fact about Pumpkaboo is that the size that we talked about of the Pumpkaboo is dependent upon the number of souls and spirits that have entered into that pumpkin. Bonus creepy ghost fact, it turns out that large Pumpkaboos like to shepherd the spirits of dead adults to the afterlife, while small Pumpkaboos like to shepherd the souls of children to the afterlife. Again with this? So we also need to break down the stats, and for our purposes, we're going to go ahead and use the evolved forms when we talk about the overall stats. So for Trevenant, you're looking at a 201 attack, a 154 defense, and a 198 stamina. What this all adds up to is a max potential CP for Trevenant of 2,893, so just below that 3,000 cap. So by no means is this going to be the absolute top tier of either the grass or the ghost meta. And what these stats really culminate in for Trevenant is a pretty attack-heavy Pokemon, but not very bulky on the whole, right? The defense is not where you need it to be really survivable in either a PvE or PvP environment. But that attack, though, especially when we talk about the moves here in a little bit, mean that Trevenant is going to be no slouch when it comes to dealing damage. Gourgeist does have a little bit of a different stat setup. I do want to note that the stats also depend based on the form or size of the Gourgeist. So they are going to change just a little bit. For our purposes today, there's not really a world of difference, especially in the most critical stat in Pokemon Go, which is attack, which has a lot to do with how the CP is calculated, so forth and so on. But I do want to be transparent. There is a difference between, say, an average and a supersize as far as the stat line. But as far as the average stats, you're looking at an attack of 171, so approximately like 30 points less than Trevenant. The defense is a lot higher at 219, while the stamina is counterbalanced to be a lot lower here, 146. All that totals up to a CP of 2549. So like we talked about, attack being lower here, you're getting 300 points less of max CP on Gourgeist, but Gourgeist is a bit tankier of a Pokemon, which, usually speaking, bodes well for PvP. But we'll talk about the PvP breakdowns in a little bit. But that is the total stat rundown for these Pokemon. There are some really unique differences when you break down the moves of these Pokemon. For Trevenant, you do have access to Sucker Punch, but surprising a lot of people, including myself, Trevenant actually has access right out the bat to an extremely powerful quick move, Shadow Claw. This move is absolutely awesome for generating energy as well as damage, and this Ghost quick move can really put a hurt on your enemy. It is, out the gate, one of the best quick moves that you're going to be able to have access on to a Pokemon, and combining it with Trevenant for what Trevenant is able to do, especially when we talk about the quick moves in a second. Trevenant can really dish out the damage, really pressure shields, and if it catches an opponent without shields in the late game, can really, really do some damage. As far as the quick moves, you're looking at Seed Bomb, Foul Play, and Shadow Ball. Okay, so Seed Bomb, nothing super fancy. It is a move type and damage set that we're really familiar with. It's 40 energy or 7 Shadow Claws for 55 total damage. So it's nice because you do get the stab bonus on that, because obviously Trevenant is part grass, and that is a great way to, of course, if you're getting super effective damage, really finish a game out. Does not too bad neutral damage, but can also generate a lot of shield pressure when we couple that with the next recommended charge move, which is Shadow Ball. If your adversary is sitting there facing, I don't know what, Shadow Ball / Seed Bomb, it can be particularly difficult for them, but those are the two moves we're really going to go with. Foul Play is okay, it's not a bad move, but especially considering it's not going to have any PvE implications, for PvP we're going to recommend those moves. Then we have Gourgeist, and this is where things get a little bit different. So you've got Hex and Razor Leaf on board for Gourgeist, which is not bad, okay? It's just not necessarily what you want. You may think, oh my god, Razor Leaf, what a slam dunk. And true, depending on what you want your Pokemon to do, Razor Leaf is an amazing quick move. But is it the one you want on your Gourgeist? It depends. It depends on the coverage. It depends on the meta. Obviously, if you think you're going to be facing a bunch of mud boys, a bunch of water-heavy format, a rock-heavy format, that's an awesome choice. But Hex isn't bad, but it's really hard to predict which one you're going to need in a given meta. So it's not really clear, like it is for Trevenant, which quick move you're going to need to go with. And I would suspect if you do build a Gourgeist, you may need to play with the two to really figure out what you need, especially in something like the PvP metas that we'll talk here in a little bit. The quick moves is where I think it gets kind of interesting for Gourgeist. So you get the exact same Seed Bomb, Foul Play, and Shadow Ball, but Gourgeist does get access to an odd move that I really like for flavor reasons. Gourgeist has access to Fire Blast, which I think is really cool because, you know, it's a jack-o'-lantern. It's got fire on the inside. It's really cool to me. So Fire Blast does bring up a lot of really cool options for Gourgeist because, well, let's face it, it's not something your adversary is necessarily going to expect, and it's something that you can use to push out a lot of damage, but does require a lot of energy. And if you're hitting them really slow with something like a Razor Leaf, there's no guarantee you're going to necessarily be able to build up to a Fire Blast. But for our purposes, it could depend, and we'll talk through those different test cases here at the end for why you might want to prefer something like Fire Blast. But I did want to call it up top because it is just such a unique situation for the moves for this Pokemon, but is really cool in my opinion. Okay, so we've got to break down the PvP potential of both these Pokemon if we're really going to find out who is the pick of the week. And the first thing I want to tell you is I strongly recommend you check out the GoHub article detailed in the bottom of this description. A lot of amazing analysis, a lot of really great work went into it. I'm talking about specific PvP IV points against a Azumarill level of detail. Just an absolute amazing article there on GoHub. But we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of our own PvP analysis. And when you talk about this Pokemon, either Gourgeist or Trevenant, you've got to talk about the type matchups because they are unique to say the least. When you combine Grass and Ghost, you get some interesting resistances that you might not necessarily think of. You're going to be resistant to Electric, Grass, Ground, and Water, and you'll have double resistances against Fighting and Normal. And that's really cool. If you think about the meta and how prevalent things like Grass, Ground, Water, and Fighting are out there, this Pokemon potentially can avoid a lot of weaknesses out there that other Ghost types can't. However, though, the weaknesses, you do get a trade-off there. You're still going to be weak to Dark, and you're still going to be weak to Ghost, but Grass is also bringing weakness to Fire, Flying, and Ice. And those are not necessarily something that you might be facing as far as like prevalent types, although obviously Ghost is out there. But a lot of Pokemon have access to Fire, Flying, and Ice moves for coverage purposes, and that could be a problem for either of these Pokemon. For moves, for Trevenant, we are definitely going Shadow Claw. That is the strong recommendation and the move that you're going to use to really charge up and do a lot of damage. We've already talked about Seed Bomb and what it can do for you. You can get there in just 7 quick Shadow Claws, and you can really start to attack. You're still going to get stabbed. Even neutral damage with 55 damage is still going to be a lot and is still going to be able to close out games. But the piece de resistance, the place that Trevenant really shines, is no surprise here. Whether you're using a Gengar, a Haunter, a Frostlass, any of these Ghost-type Pokemon that have access to Shadow Ball, if you start Shadow Clawing and slinging Shadow Balls at neutral damage, or God help you, super effective damage, you are going to KO opponents in PvP. It is simple as that. Shadow Ball does a nasty amount of damage and is a fantastic way to close out the game. And Trevenant makes amazing use of this Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball moveset with a little cool Seed Bomb action there sprinkled in. Can really do a lot of work for you. So is Trevenant going to have an impact on the PvP meta? We could go through and we could break down all the individual matchups, but I'm here to tell you from a personal opinion perspective, the fact that I can tell you right now that Trevenant beats both variants of Stunfisks, forget it. I'm sold. I'm building one. I'm building one today. It is a very exciting Pokemon, and I think it is guaranteed to shake up the Halloween Cup meta. If you haven't checked out our Halloween Cup meta video, strongly recommend you guys check that out. But I think it has the potential to shake up the Great League moving here forward. And this Pokemon is on my Silph Cup ban watch list. I really expect that when you get a meta that allows either Grass or Ghost to bring into the closed meta cups of Silph, this Pokemon is going to be begging for an obvious banning because these types are so unique and open up so many different combinations that there are just some metas Trevenant is going to break. And being able to use it in the open league, especially if you pair it with the right opener and safe switch, Trevenant can really do some amazing work for you. Okay, on to the Gourgeist PvP analysis. And this is where we're going to have to throttle back just a little bit. Like we talked about for the IVs, they're going to be a little bit different, but generally speaking, you're looking for something around a 0, 14, 13 to optimize your Great League IVs is what you're looking for. As far as the quick moves, Hex versus Razor Leaf, I'm going to go ahead and punt here, and I'm going to tell you it depends. It depends on a bunch of different factors, but obviously what the meta is and what type of Pokemon you're expecting to encounter, but then also what is your other team composition? What does the rest of your team look like, and what role do you need Gourgeist to fill on that team? Okay, I don't have an obvious answer for either of those, and I'm just going to tell you for the quick move, it depends. For the charge move, though, we're probably going to end up running the same thing. We are probably going to end up running Seed Bomb and Shadow Ball for Gourgeist as its optimal move configuration. However, though, in some unique circumstances, if you want to get cute, I could definitely see running Fire Blast over one of the other moves because Fire Blast opens up something really interesting and some key matchups that I think are really interesting. However, you do not want to bring Gourgeist in with Fire Blast as your moveset of choice if you're facing one shield and definitely not two shields. But if you have Gourgeist in the back, waiting on an open opportunity, being able to do things like finish off steel Pokemon like Registeel and Skarmory with a surprise Fire Blast, it might not be meta, but it is really funny. To be honest, I think that would be really interesting. So probably more of like a janky off pick more than anything, but I think it would be really funny if somebody expected Shadow Ball and you absolutely Fire Blasted their face off with your Gourgeist. But How many times is that going to come up? Probably not that often. And what are you losing by running Gourgeist as opposed to Trevenant? Quite a lot, just to pull off that once in a lifetime, every once in a while, janky Fire Blast to kill something like a Steel Pokemon or another Grass Pokemon. It's probably not what you need to be doing. Okay, now it is time for our final picks, and I think based on the first part of this video, you can probably tell where things are going. For Trevenant, we are going with the pick of the week. That is right, WEEK. Trevenant earns the Pokemon Go Radio seal of approval for an awesome Pokemon. This type combination is so unique, these moves are so good, and this Pokemon has enough attack to get it across the finish line that we think Trevenant is worth going out and catching and is worth going out and adding and building to your PvP collection, and definitely, obviously, like for your dex fill purposes. It is a really cool Pokemon, and we strongly recommend that you build one and you feel confident with it, because this Pokemon is going to be here to stay. Sadly, for Gourgeist, we are going with a pick of the week. It is a WEAK, and that's sad because, like, I really wanted Gourgeist to win this. I like Gourgeist better than Trevenant. Gourgeist is one of my favorite Pokemon, so is Pumpkaboo. I absolutely love this Pokemon. I always have since Gen 6 came out. Always one of those Pokemon. We talk about it a lot on the show, but a Pokemon that I just want to find an opportunity to use, and I don't really even care. The fact is, coming out at the same time and living in Trevenant's shadow just really hurts Gourgeist. And I thought, looking at the stat breakdown and looking at everything, that the tankiness was going to win out. I'm a big fan of PvP tankiness, and I thought for sure that was going to push Pumpkaboo over the line, or at least I hoped that it would, but it's just not the case. It's not tanky enough. The charge moves aren't doing it, or the quick move isn't doing it any favors. And at the end of the day, if you're using a Gourgeist, you probably should just be using a Trevenant. Now, the only split case there is obviously the water heavy meta. In a water heavy / grass favored meta, we are going to go ahead and give the tie in that unique case to Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo. But unless you just know for a fact you're going to be facing something where you need heavy grass and Ghost for whatever reason, most of the time the Shadow Claw Seed Bomb combination on Trevenant is going to be enough to get you across the finish line. So those are our final ratings for our pick of the week. Okay, so here we sit on Saturday, October the 23rd, and we have until Halloween, October the 31st, to get out there and scoop up as many Phantom and Pumpkaboo as you possibly can. Either way, strongly recommend pineapping these Pokemon. We don't know when they're going to come back. We don't know when they're going to enter in the spawns, and this is the optimal time, especially with Double Candy, to get out there and really fill your bag with as much candy as you possibly can. So these are must-catch, must-pineapple Pokemon that you want to scoop up, because either way, these Pokemon are really, really cool. They're going to fill your decks. They're going to fill a special little place in your heart. And at least in Trevenant's case, this pick of the week is probably going to fill a PvP roster in the Great League for you sometime soon. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. If you liked the video, give it a like, give it a subscribe, ding that bell notification so you can find out here. And you can always check out our episodes wherever you find podcasts, and here on this channel, 3 p.m. every Eastern, where we talk tips, tricks, and provide that sense of community out there for everybody who loves this game just as much as we do. In the meantime, go freaking catch 'em all.